Ryan, the last time I was at your company, I was super impressed. And one of the things I was impressed about, one, I think your team's pretty awesome. I like everybody on your team. At least everybody you've introduced me to. It's a bunch of great guys, and gals. But one of the things that stuck with me, and actually John, my business partner, Service Autopilot, was there, and we both left and said, we've been to a lot of companies. You guys run meetings differently than most. In fact, you actually have meetings. A lot of companies don't have meetings. And your meetings are different than the way everybody else does it. And so I'm going to give my 2 cents. So the reason I think this is really important is because I believe that what they're doing leads to employee retention. I believe that what you guys are doing, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but I'll bet you'll agree, leads to an interesting culture where people want to stay with the company. They like working at the company. They have fun. And I also theorize that it leads to more growth when everybody's happy and doing well, and that the company as a whole gets better. So I've probably put some words in your mouth, but that was my takeaway walking away from their company. I wish you could have been there and sat in on one of the meetings because the team does a really good job running them. So I guess if you would, where I'm leading you here, tell me why you guys even do this, because it's so different than what most people do. And then I'll ask you a few questions about it.
Sure. So about 5 years ago, we sat down as a management team and decided that we needed to change the way we ran our meetings. So at our company, and I think this is what you're talking about, we love to have fun. You know, we're outdoors, we're exciting guys, we enjoy what we do, we all love working together, and our meetings sucked. I mean, they were just terrible, as most company meetings are.
Was this sitting around a table having a meeting, or what were you doing?
Yeah, so we'd have a meeting around a topic, right? Maybe it's the production team was getting together to talk about production stuff. There was a sales team getting together on Friday mornings to talk about sales of the previous week, and maybe somebody brought a topic for discussion, maybe they didn't. So everybody was late, usually 10, 15 minutes late, and nobody really got anything out of it. There was no actionable items that came away from it, so we didn't grow, we didn't get better. And so we started searching, and we found a book called Traction. Which is just a great book, and it helped us to build a meeting structure that make the meetings better and actually fun now. So
I would say that it was an entertaining meeting.
Yeah.
And everybody, it's been a little while now, but I think everybody did show up on time. Would that be true?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And I also remember that several of you conducted the meeting. It wasn't just one person. Was it the different leaders of the company?
Yeah, so each leader in their area conducts the meeting for their area. Production team leader produces production team meetings. I'm the sales manager, so I produce a sales meeting. Management leaders produce management meetings. So
does everybody sit in? So for example, do the sales guys stay in the meeting when production's doing their part? Is the whole company together, or do you break out and run individual meetings?
Only the people that will have input into that particular meeting are in that meeting. So in our sales meeting, we have production representative because there's sales production crossover. But not everyone in production's in the sales meeting.
So have you seen, and at the very beginning I was giving my opinion of what it might do for the company, what I perceive it might do in terms of improvement. What have you guys seen since you've instituted these meetings?
One, we've been able to work on a lot of areas in our company because we have actionable items that come out of our meetings based on the format that we use. Two, it's increased the fun in the day, so it makes everybody more enjoyable. It makes the meeting more enjoyable.
How often are you doing the meetings?
Depends on what it is. Typically once a week.
Is there a best day?
It depends on the area. You know, it depends on which team is meeting. So we have different meetings, different days for different teams. So
so we're in the meeting and something comes up. I don't know. I suggest something, or you tell me, hey, we need to do this thing. Is there an element of accountability afterwards because you set action items? Like, how do we make progress so that we don't just have these meetings and nothing transpires? How do we make sure that the members of those participants in the meeting actually come to the meeting next week with their action items taken care of?
So one of the elements of all of our meetings is called the to-do list. Right. So if we have an item that comes up that needs to get done by the next week, then whoever that element gets assigned to, or whatever team it gets assigned to, has to come with a report next week on that element.
Whether it's done or not done?
Done or not done. Why is it not done? If it was expected to be done. So.
All right. So same question I've asked before, because you guys are a big, very successful operation. When you're teaching your franchisees who might run smaller operations, may or may not run smaller operations, I understand that. If they're a smaller operation, do you still teach them how to run an efficient meeting, or do you say once you get to a certain size, that's when meetings become important? What's your approach there?
So, franchises are a little bit different than say a 1 or 2 man operation. Even if it's just an owner operator in a franchise, we are still their accountability partner.
Okay.
Because they have the whole team of the franchise to help them continue to move forward. If I was a 2-man operation, I would be holding at least 1 meeting a week on a very specific platform, start, stop at the same time, using very specific outline that we took out of the book Traction, to run that meeting, to make sure that my whole team, whether it was just 1 or just 2 guys, was in the same communication.
Okay.
So
how long's the meeting?
it varies between 45 minutes to an hour and 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. So that's a bit of time then.
Yes.
If I was a 4-man operation, would it still be an hour-long meeting potentially, or does it shrink down?
It depends again on the purpose of that meeting. If it's something very short and concise, then it may just be a 30-minute meeting.
Okay.
But if it's something that's more in depth and more people you have, then the longer the meeting's going to be. But we typically never more than about an hour and 5 minutes.
Okay. So if whoever's watching wants to implement meetings in their business, what's an action item for them so that they could determine if this is, well, I'm just going to tell you this is worth doing. You should be doing it. The guys that are really successful and make a lot of money are doing it generally.
Yeah.
And so just assume that's truth. And knowing that, what's the first action item that they should go out and do if they want to implement this in their business?
I would start with reading the book Traction.
Okay.
And then I would start with setting a meeting agenda. And every meeting in your company should have a very similar agenda. It may vary one element or another from meeting to meeting, but have a very similar agenda so that everyone knows what to expect every time they come to the meeting.
Okay. And on a side note, there's a couple books out there by the name of Traction. I think the author is Gino Wickman.
Gino Wickman.
Yeah, Gino Wickman. Fantastic book. There's way more takeaways in that book than just meetings.
That's right.
Yep. But most people won't implement it, so hopefully you do. All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.